Well, hi there, and welcome back to 3R Guitars. Well, I've actually literally just slapped a coat of sand and sealer on this now, just to more like protect it, but there's no substitute for sand and sealer for actually making the grain stand up. And you can sand it down. So, give this tomorrow, I'll be sanding it again. And that will be that. The neck also, I've given like absolutely been over it and sanding it just like perfect sort of thing. And the thing with the neck is it's Fender didn't use any sanding sealer or anything on the neck. There's no need for it on maple really. The thing is though, you've got to be absolutely certain you've got all the scratches out of it, so go down the grits and your sandpaper and finish off, I don't know, whatever, 1,000 grits should be fine, but sand in the direction of the grain. Before moving on with it though, we've got side dots to do, and obviously they changed a bit over the years. In the original necks from '54 that were one piece maple, they were black side dots, to contrast with the maple. Later on, when the rosewood board came in, including the slab board, the marker dots were white, and they actually stood astride. I think on the 62 they might have been all on the you'd have to check with the slab board, fingerboard, whether the dots were completely within the rosewood or not. But on these style of necks with the veneer, the curved veneer, they actually straddled the maple and the rosewood, about half and half. I mean, there were frequently like bodge ups or mistakes with Fender where they put the side dots in too high and you could just see the top of them in the fretboard as well. But generally they need to be a sort of halfway house sort of thing, where the equator of the dot, if you like, goes on the junction between the maple and the rosewood. Later on, I'm not sure of the year, but they went back to black dots on the neck side on rosewood board necks, and they actually put the black dot completely into the maple sort of thing. So that was that. But I'm pretty sure the dots were 3/32 of an inch, and I've just got some plastic rod that's I think it's proprietary for side dots, but I mean, it's not like rocket science, is it? So anyway, this is 3/32, which I think is correct for that. And what I actually do, to be quite honest, I don't measure I might measure the halfway between, where the frets are wide apart. But when I get up to here, I just find it easier just to do it by eye. It comes out more accurate. So I just put a pencil mark across and then actually just squash a center punch in there in the joint. But it's not a difficult job, so I'll get that done and show you. Well, here we are. I've got the marker dots positions, side markers positioned in there, and I've got a 3/32 inch drill here, and literally, I mean, it's not bloody rocket science, is it, this? So just drill out a hole. Just be careful, and like I say, I prefer doing this by eye than measuring or having any silly jig for it. I mean, Fender obviously weren't too accurate with it as well, as you got the odd mistakes on the positions of the dots where the dots were high or low or something. So I prefer doing them by eye. The 12th marker dots, I've actually measured originals and find them about 5/16 of a millimetre apart, something like that, centre to centre. So I've just done that. But go. We've got the dots marked. The only thing I'd say is don't do anything stupid and put them on the other side or anything, otherwise you've got a bit of filling to do, which is annoying. But you can see how neatly those dots are in the middle, and I've all done them by eye. So now it's just a question of daubing a bit of super glue on the end of this, pushing it in the hole, and Bob's your uncle sort of thing. So yep, let's get that done and get back to you. Right then, okay, that's all the side dots done. Literally one of the easiest jobs to do, and they've gone in beautifully there sort of thing. Very simple, just glue the rod in with super glue. I'll spray it with a bit of accelerator just to get on with it, snip it off with some snips, and then file it down, and that's it. And you know, they're in there perfectly now. And like I say, what I'd like to do now, I'm just going to go in and have a cup of coffee actually, but I want to buy I haven't got a fender top nut, may as well buy one. Get a fender top nut so I can finalise the carving here sort of thing, and that will be nice. I don't want to do that edge. I mean, I'll probably be moving this radius forward a little bit, because I think by the width of the nut is about 1/8, and I think that beyond the nut will be a bit too long, so that's why that doesn't look too neat there. I've got to do that. But yeah, we're getting on now. This neck is lovely, I like it a lot, and yeah, all good. So that's that. I can see a few bumpies there which need sanding out, but that's all within easy doing, and yeah, jolly good. Cheers. Well, hi there and welcome back to 3R Guitars, and this hardtail Strat build. It's 67-ish hardtail Strat build. Just received the string ferrules for the back today, and I want to get those drilled and fitted in the back. Now, it was a lot easier when if you do like a 52 Telecaster or something, because they were actually drilled somewhat by eye, and they're very let's put it this way, they're not particularly neatly spaced or anything, just bunged in the back. But by the time 1967 came along, obviously the holes for the string ferrules in the back were built very, the things were built much more accurately with machines sort of thing. So I want to fit the ferrules in the back. Now this is a tricky job to get them exactly right, and you've only got to be a fraction out with one, and like you're just making a mess of it sort of thing. So yeah, it's going to be one of those jobs, probably a bit like fitting the wraparound bridge on the Les Pauls sort of thing. But first thing I want to do is with this hardtail bridge, is check the string spacing on it. Now this was a vintage, supposedly a vintage one. It's got all the Fender penned stamps on the saddles at a great expense, I might add. So I want to measure the width, and it was meant to be 2 7/32, and the easiest way to measure the width is not do it on the saddles and blah, blah, blah. These screws go into the middle of each saddle kind of thing, or you'd hope they would. So measure the holes on the back of the bridge, and yes indeed we've got 2 7/32. Now I can't work in metric, in imperial bloody fractions and stuff. So this gizmo is brilliant because you can just press a button and it converts it for you. So if you go, there's millimeters, 56.33 millimeters. So if we make a note of that, let's do it on here I suppose, 56.33. So you've got a gap. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gaps. Don't think you've got 6 gaps. You've got 5 gaps. So if I divide this by 5, then I'll get the spacing for each what's it. So let me quickly do that. So 1, 11, 5's into 13 go 0.2, remainder 3, 6. So we've got roughly, if I can drill to that accuracy, we've got 11.26 millimeter gap between each hole. Now, what I did, if you remember, when I drilled these holes, I screwed the bridge on the back of its mounting holes, and I drilled through the string, holes right through the body. So on the back we've got the 6 holes. Now the thing is that when you drill through a 2-inch bit of wood with a fairly 1 3/4, whatever it is, bit of wood with a fairly thin drill, like I think these were around 1/8 of an inch, as the drill twists, it'll pull itself to one side a little bit, so the drill will wander. It depends a lot on what drills you use and stuff. If you use a good quality drill, you eliminate a lot of that. But yeah, you're likely to get a bit of wandering in it. Now, what I wish I'd actually done with this is just drilled all the way through with the 2 outside holes, and then kind of located the bridge on the back of the guitar. Say I could have pushed 3mm drill through to the 2 outside holes, and then drilled the back holes, the other holes, through. Now, yeah, so I was a bit hasty drilling all the way through, but let's just see. So we started off with 56.33, so if we measure here, see how accurately the 2 end. Now I can see straight away that it's out. It's definitely not wide enough. It's probably, it's a fraction out, but so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this. I don't think I did make these holes up, this plate of holes sort of thing, but I don't think they'll do me any good, because these are for the outside. Let me get the these out and show you. $20 bags for them. Here they are. So here's the string ferrule, very simple thing, but it's got like a ridge on it here, and I can't remember. I'll have to go in and look at my books to see with the 67 whether it was the hole was countersunk, so you had the hole to grip the string ferrule and then a little countersunk to get this flush with the top, or whether it was just bang down on top. And this jig actually, it doesn't do anything actually. It's very little good. But this jig, well, look, you can see, that's tuner holes, twit. So here we go. This jig actually accurately spaces the recess holes for the ferrules, and this one does the you know, the mounting holes, if you like. But what I can't remember is whether in the 56 the ferrules were countersunk or not, and it won't tell me in the Strat book, I know that it doesn't, but in the Telecaster book here, let's see what I'll find it and get back to you. Right, so here's what I've done. I've actually pinned this bridge on with, see, my mistake again with drilling the holes all the way through. I could have used little screws to screw this down, but because I drilled all the way through with the right size drill, the holes in the wood are as big as the holes in the metal, so I can't get a screw to fit. But I've got these drills which are really tight, so they're as good as screws kind of thing, just pinning it to the two outside holes, and believe me, that will not move, so that's a bit of luck there. But I've got another drill now exactly the size of these holes, so I'm going to drill those now, and I don't think I can use my pillar drill to do it because the chuck, I may be able to. Let me switch you off and I'll try it. Right, I might actually regret this. I hammered these two drills down, and like I say, this is absolutely solid on there, but now I've actually got clearance between there and the chuck to actually drill these holes, and the luxury of my pillar drill, so I can drill square through and get the spacing dead right. Right, so now we've got the spacing correct, but I'm going to pay for hammering those in because that bugger is in there, so they're in there so tight. But I'll get you back when I've got everything off. Right, okay, with these string ferrules now, I've done like a few test holes, and I might have to fractionally open them out a bit more, but I don't think so. You know, that will take, you know, oh, for God's sake. String ferrule. Oh, I really hope I haven't lost that. It definitely bounced in here somewhere. Let me switch you off and try and find it. Well, that was nearly a frigging disaster, wasn't it? So they fit beautifully in, fits beautifully in there. You know, I'd have to hammer it in, carefully pull it out, put it back in the bag, Christopher. Seal bag up. Right, that's that. Now, so I've got a decent drill there to do that. I did try a brad point drill, but when you put it in there, with these pilot holes being that full size of an 1/8, you know, you've got that little point on a brad point drill, but unfortunately it wanders quite a lot in the hole, so I have to use a conventional drill. Now the next thing you want to do as well is, I shouldn't have put this away, but obviously, you know, you're putting the string ferrules into a you know, what they call a blind hole with a flat bottom, so they'll only go down a certain amount. But basically, you know, you want to only go down, you know, a maximum of, you know, the depth of the depth of the ferrule and a bit more. So I'll adjust these drill heights, what you basically can do is jam that in there, and yeah, from the bring the drill down to the surface of the wood there, and then if you put the string ferrule underneath the depth stop, and then, can you see me, and then screw the depth stop down onto the string ferrule, oh, I'm so nervous about losing that now. Why do things take so long when the camera's running, eh? So screw that down on the top of the string ferrule. Now that includes the little you know, end of it sort of thing that's bigger. So come down a little bit further, but not too much, and then that's the depth you want to just drill now. So we're all good. Put the string ferrule away, Christopher. There we go. So let's get drilling these now and see how much we can cock it up. Oh, I just hope they go central. Right, let's go back to the main bench and take a butcher's hook at it. Well, I actually think that's gone quite well. I do think they look pretty darn central. In my eye, this one may slightly, it'd be a gnat's cock coming over this way a slight little bit, but to be honest, that's as good as I've ever been able to get them anyway. But you know, for such a simple job, this takes a long time to get it right. But believe you know, the good thing is they're in an exact straight line. They're not up and down, which would, you know, really jar the eye. The spacing, I think the spacing is it's very, very good. Well, I'm not showing off, but you know, I mean good in a way that there's nothing there that I kind of think, oh shit, you know, it's really bad. But I think you know, I think we're pretty good there. So nice to get that job done. And okay then, now I've done the holes on the back of the body for the string ferrules. I want to get all the woodwork wrapped up on this body. So I've just got a couple of holes to drill. The hole from the jack socket cavity to the control cavity. Now this, in almost all the Strats I've seen, is a pretty arbitrary thing, and it's obviously done with a guy with a drill gun sort of thing. There's nothing fancy about it. Generally the hole is at the end of the jack socket here and runs downhill into the control cavity. It doesn't go the other way. It doesn't go. I've not seen it. Well, I might have seen it going the other way, up from up here to down there, but you know, but you need a fairly long drill so you can get out of it. I mean, this is ridiculously long, but nothing fancy. I do start off with a small drill first, so it's more controllable, just to drill a start hole, and then So there we go. Blimey, we come out right at the bottom there, but that's fine, that's okay. No problem there. So now we can get a wire through there into the control cavity. That's all right. Yeah, but now we've got a hole to drill, which is unique to the hardtail. You want an earthen wire from under the bridge into the control cavity. Now, I did look to see whether this went into the pickup cavity first and then the control cavity, but no, it seems to come out in the control cavity about here. And again, I'm pretty sure it was just like a, you know, man with a drill cutting a hole. So basically I've, you know, just draw the outline of the bridge on there, so you don't, but you just want to drill from somewhere around here into the control cavity. So I'll get that done and get back to you there. I'm going to get a better drill actually. What I tend to do is drill down first, just a tiny way, so the longer drill can, you know, has got somewhere to press against, but like anywhere around here is absolutely fine. That's fine now, that's got somewhere to grip into and I can go down. I mean, be a bit careful with them, don't think, oh, I'll drill a hole sort of thing, you know, otherwise you'll get there we go, that's that done and come out in the control cavity there. So yeah, we're all right now with that. That concludes the carpentry, if you like, on the body. So there we go. I think I'll give it a good sand in now and another painting with sanding sealer. I'm not going to spray it at them yet. You know, wait till we get down to a bit better finish, but yep, there we go. Cheers. Well, here we go, fresh in from spraying. You can see that, you know, it's just looking really nice now. You know, we've not got too many marks. I mean, it's probably with a, I'll probably give it another coat, definitely sand it, and another coat of sanding sealer on it, and another sanding before starting doing the sunburst. So I mean, it's looking very well now, so I like that a lot. So when it comes to the sunburst, let me put this down. When it comes to the sunburst, there are a few styles. I mean, obviously by 67 they were definitely into the two-tone sunburst had gone, and you had the three-tone black, red, and yellow. But there are different styles of the way it's sprayed, and you know, the 60s, I think, was the introduction to what they called the target burst, where they seemed to be quite a bit more red and a bit more, just look, I suppose it just looked like a target really. And the yellow, to my eye as well, the yellow got very much brighter, very sunny sort of thing, which I don't dislike at all. But I sort of kind of prefer the slightly more toned back yellow, rather than like when you see a target bursts Strat, they obviously used a lot of yellow dye in it, and it was very bright sort of thing. And you know, when you look at a Les Paul, the you know, a burst Les Paul, the yellow has a lot more red in it. It's a lot more orange. So what I want to do is kind of a halfway house. I don't want it too bright. I also don't want massive wide black and red band. I want a thin black edge to it, and you know, a little bit of red, you know, in around the edge as well. But I don't want to go too crazy with a wide black board around it. It's just a personal way I look at my strats, but I'll get back to that. And then anyway, we're cooking on gas with this now, which is, you know, when you consider I've only been building it for like, oh, I don't even know if it's much, a couple of weeks, something like that, and we're on to finishing already. So bit of a different story with the Les Paul, isn't it? But there we go. So rock and roll, and be back. Well, turning my attention to the neck now, I want to kind of finalise this this curve down from the top nut. Now, you know, I was online going to buy a nut, and I actually ordered one, and then I thought, stupid, you know, and I'm actually, you know, a bit of a 70s guy sort of thing, and I've always really liked brass top nuts. I mean, they were used by Ibanez and all sorts of people back, but generally they were a kind of 70s thing. And my idea with this Strat is, you know, I want it hardtail, and I want sustain from it. And you know, you'll obviously get, you know, in theory, more sustain from a hardtail than you will a trem. You know, whether that's true or not, who knows. But you know, a brass top nut is very. I mean, gives you, you know, potentially a lot of sustain. I mean, you consider that, like, you know, your bridge is like metal and quite often brass sort of thing. Well, why isn't your top nut like brass as well? Seems silly, you know, at one end of the guitar, you know, your strings are going over. I mean, like saddles on an ABR are brass that are plated, you know, and it just seems a bit odd that at the other end you use either a plastic or like bone. And I, you know, but I actually really like brass top nuts. Don't know, just a thing with me. So a Fender top nut is like is an 1/8 of an inch thick. So I've got some brass here that's exactly an 1/8 of an inch. So I want to basically cut out a top nut out of this, and you know, we'll go from there, sort of thing. Not too easy to make, but you know, I think I really like them, so that's what I'm gonna do. So let's get on and make a brass top nut. So starting out with this top nut, it's one of the curved ones, sort of thing. So the jointing surface needs to be 7.25 inches radius. So you can use your fret pressing call and scribe the 7.25 radius. So we can mark that on there, and then, you know, judging the thickness really for it. You're only going to do this roughly because it's going to be filed down, but probably, you know, if you start off with, I mean, honestly, a 4mm radius is going to give you, a 4mm is going to give you plenty. I'll go 5, and that's got to be 9, roughly, that's got to be a 9.5 radius to match what I've done the fretboard to. So got a 9. So I've got the 9.5 radius fretting coil here. Just scribe that on there. Don't know what you can see on there, if anything, but and then on my bandsaw here I've put the very fine blade in. I mean, it's not really advisable to cut metal on your bandsaw, but brass is okay. You can. Okay, so here we go. Here's the start of the top nut now. So I've got plenty of length on it anyway. I'll be chopping it down, but there we go. So what I think I'll do next now is cut the end of the fretboard. So basically put the nut. So I just wanted to show you the way I do the top nut. It's a bit unusual, I guess, but I find it very good. So first of all, you know, I've actually cut it already, but first of all you've done the slot for the fretboard edge of the top nut. Then put your new nut against that and scribe a line with a scalpel, really the point of a scalpel, down holding the top nut against your line on the fretboard, and scribe tight against it. Then use your fret saw to cut that line out down to the depth, and on these you just want them above the maple. And then what I actually do, it looks quite barbaric, but I actually use my rip saw. It's a really sharp rip saw, and I just put it right in the middle of the fret, the 2 slots you cut, and I just like go over it in a curve like that, and it knocks it out pretty quick, and you get a lovely square cut like that. I mean, ignore that chipped off there, that was through planing and stuff, nothing to do with the nut, but you get a lovely cut, and you can see I'm just above the maple there. I want to go down a bit that side. This looks like very uncontrollable, but it's actually does a very good job of it. A bit more. There it is. Right, so here we go. So that's literally taken me a couple of minutes, and like that just fits in absolutely perfectly. You know, I mean, I just find that like by far the best way to do it. I've got, you know, a bit of tidying up to do on the bottom of it, but you know, that's you know, absolutely tight in there. And I guaranteed if I did it with a chisel and files, I'd be all over the place. So I do find that a really good way. I mean, that's a, you know, that's a push fit in there. That is, as John Virgo would say in the snooker, that's inch perfect. Yeah, but yeah, that you won't get a better job than that. So I'll just tidy it up a little bit, and we'll start. And it hasn't taken long at all, has it, to do that? So there we go. Okay then, here we are. Here's the top nut sort of roughly in place now. Well, I mean, it's in place, glued in, and I've trimmed down this end here and fixed that chipped bit right on the end there. So quite happy with that curve. Obviously needs a bit more sanding, but it's getting a bit late in the day now. So just wanted to get that done, and obviously the top nut needs, you know, once I've done the string slots to depth, I can file the top of it to more match the fretboard. But I mean, literally that top nut took me probably half an hour to do, and you know, it's roughed in there, which is really nice. And yeah, I've always liked brass top nuts. Call me a 70s guy. Well, I am. So there we go, jobbed. This will need a lot of sand in now, and then we can start putting some finish on it. So that's close of play today. Thank you very much. Oh, hello there, and welcome back to 3R Guitars. Yesterday we put some second coat of sanding sealer on this, but it was the first sprayed one. It's really looking nice. I mean, like I keep saying, there's just no substitute for thorough sanding and just really looking carefully at bits that maybe don't look quite right, or you know, just you can't you know, cut short the sanding time really and stuff like that. I mean, you know, you can just see on here I've got some scratches going that way, so I'll give the whole thing a good sanding now, but with a lighter grade of sandpaper. I get a bit confused with, I mean, back in the old Git days, you know, sandpaper seemed to have a coherent like grading system sort of thing, but nowadays you seem to get all sorts of numbers on them. But I'm basically now, I did this with 180 grit before sanding this, but it doesn't seem like it's as coarse as some 180 grits I've seen. But what I'll do now is, I've got some 320, I'll go over it with that and try and get more of the scratches out. But there's no, you know, there's no scratches, you can't see any working scratches over the main areas. I mean, I've got some round the edge, but to be honest with that will be black anyway, so you can get away with that. But it is just really important to, you know, just be meticulous with your sanding. You won't regret it, and the more meticulous you are earlier on, the less frustrating it is later. You know, the last thing you want to do is like spray the yellow on and then have a good look and underneath it see loads of scratches, you know. So always sand with the grain, and you know, just be thorough with it, sort of thing. I mean, I'm going for a relic finish, and you know, there's two reasons for that. And one is I love relic guitars, old looking guitars, and two, my spraying booth and stuff like that, there's at best a 50-50 chance of getting a perfect job. I mean, the more perfect you try and spray it, the more any tiny little fault will show up. I mean, if you've got a perfect finish and you've got one spit from the spray gun or something like that, guaranteed if you show somebody the guitar and it's meant to be gleaming new, they'll just go, oh, you know, they'll look at it, oh, that's really nice, and then they'll rub the bit that's a bit fucked up. So you know, I haven't got the equipment, I've said it before, I haven't got the setup for a perfect paint job. You need dust extraction, and you need like a heated shed, and you know, all sorts of stuff, which I'm not really interested in doing that. So anyway, what I'll do now is I'll just get on sanding this. I mean, like I say, I can see scratches on it, and I don't really want those, so I'll give this another thorough sanding, and hopefully we can then get ready to put a finish on it. And again, you can see I've screwed this handle on the thing. I've utilised the neck screw hole, so I'm not putting any more screw holes in it. But that's exactly what Fender did. there's some thought that they flattened metal pipes and screwed them on, sort of thing, and all whatnot. But you know, I just do that sort of thing, because you often see a paint stick shadow, or you will 100% of the time see a paint stick shadow in the neck pocket of old fenders, sort of thing, and that's just how they work. So you know, I honestly think that probably the finishing people at Fender were probably the paint sprayers and the paint things were probably the, you know, amongst the most skilled people there. And you know, because you don't often see a bad finish, sort of thing. So there we go. But yeah, I've just got to sit here for about an hour sanding this. I must admit that you're probably looking around my shed thinking, what a fucking mess. But yeah, I don't know, just the last couple of weeks, I have just felt like so crappy on and off. Like, I don't know what I've got. I've got a backache, I've got a cold that seems it's going to break out but never does, and just feel lousy. And the last thing I want to do is bend down and start lifting and carrying things around and cleaning out stuff and all that. I'm just happy sitting here with a block of wood and a bit of sandpaper. I mean, I do like to, you know, keep working on guitars quite continuously, sort of thing, because it's always nice to get something done. You know, when you come back in the shed, you're not sort of seeing something you did, like, you know, 3 weeks ago or something. I like to keep going with it. I mean, I'm doing this one now alongside the Les Pauls, which are just sitting indoors with the paint setting before I go back and relic them. So I'd like to get this up to the stage where I can put this away to set thoroughly before relicking it, you know. And that's just the way I like working. I don't like to have no guitar work on, you know. Right, hello there, we're back on this Strat. Now, I sprayed sanding sealer second coat on it yesterday, and I ordered some more sanding sealer. Unfortunately, it hasn't come today, but I've given this I mean, it is Christmas Eve, so not surprised. I've given this a sanding down, and to be honest, it's like a sheet of, like, smooth as a sheet of glass, you know. So I don't really think I need any more sanding sealer on it. I mean, I got one painted coat on and 2.5 quite heavy sprayed coats of sanding sealer on as well, and you get a lot more on when you spray it than when you paint it. So I'm going to go straight to lacquer now, yellow lacquer for the centre of the sunburst. Now, the thing with the sunburst, I've read a lot about Fender finishing, and initially I know they actually dipped the bodies in yellow stain and then just sprayed the red and the red and the black. I think in later years they sprayed the yellow because it was like a lot brighter when they got to what they called the target burst kind of thing. I mean, initially the bodies were like dipped in like something called Fuller Plast, which was a grain filler. I mean, I doubt if they'd have done that with alder, but certainly on ash where the grain pores are deeper. And then the story goes that you know, when I've read it, they dipped the bodies in yellow dye and then sprayed the red and the black. But I think by the 60s, when they went into that target burst sort of thing, which seemed to have a lot more of a vibrant yellow, they actually sprayed the yellow. Now the thing is, if you want a vibrant yellow, you've got to have a real white wood. This is not bad, but if if you're making a Strat and you want like a bright yellow, you'd have to specify with the wood supply, look, it's got to be white. This is obviously a slightly gold looking sort of thing, which I'm happy with. I don't want the bright sunshiny yellow sort of thing, but it's just worth thinking. And you can actually bleach wood. I've read about it and I know people who've done it, but I've actually never tried it, and I've tried it once, didn't have much success, but I don't know, it was just a quick go sort of thing. But so what I've done is I've mixed up some yellow stain, and first coat I'm just using clear lacquer and yellow stain, and I'll see what it comes out like. Certainly if this was a whiter wood, I'd be adding a touch of red to it, but I'm going to see what it comes out like, and if it's too bright for me, I'm gonna go over with a bit of red in the lacquer. So yep, I'll go off and spray that and get back to you. Well, hi there, we straight back from the spray shop now, and here's the results. I'm well pleased with it. I mean, it looks terribly dark on the phone screen, but believe me, it's not a bright yellow, which I didn't want, but it's somewhere in between. So I'm really pleased with that, and there's no worries about there being any roughness on the surface because of lack of sanding sealer. I spray the whole thing yellow, edges and everything, because when I do the relicking on it, when you wear the black away, I like to see the kind of yellow around the edge of the wear sort of thing and all that, which I really like. Yeah, disappointed with the way it's coming out on the phone, because it is like quite a golden yellow, which is really nice. But when you get the black round the edge and then the red, it kind of brightens up the yellow anyway. Get my head in the way because sometimes it brightens up the screen a little bit, but oh well, there we go. And equally, that joint line really sticks out on the phone screen, but honestly, you'd have to look for it, kind of thing. But there we go. Anyway, leave it set, and we'll get back to it, and then I'll go through the rest of it. I might spray the rest of it today. It's an absolutely beautiful day, 24th of December, and it's like the spring. So I'd like to get more spraying done today, and it is quite good to do the sunbursts, all in one go. I don't know why, but that's the way I've always done it. So good. Right, hi then. So I'm back in the alchemy stages. I'm mixing up some black for doing the outside edge of the sunburst. Now, I do the black before the red. That may seem a little weird, but that's the way I do it. Also, when I mix up the black, what you may see on older guitars is that the black has faded a little bit. And what I try to avoid is a real stark kind of black. So I tend to mix something else in with the black, and what I use is just, when I empty my spray gun sort of thing, I basically, if I haven't used all the product, the clear lacquer, I tip it into a spare bottle that I've got, so it's just any old lacquer that's sort of brownish sort of thing. So I put some of that in with the black, and that's exactly what I've done here. So the black has got a bit of a less black quality. You can hardly see it, but I think it does make a difference. Spraying the black is the most difficult part of the process, because if you mix the paint up wrong, you get like quite a sort of a powdery paint to it, and as you spray it, you don't really want it to speckle over the yellow. So you want a fairly narrow jet adjusted on your spray gun, and equally you don't want it to jet out so you get a real sharp edge to the black or anything like that, or it looks awful. I can't really tell you how you should do it. So I get the body, and first of all I kind of spray off the edge at an angle. So you know, you start with the spray gun here, and you might just, the edge of the spray line will just come round, sort of thing, and then just sort of shade it in. I mean, I've seen people who do it day in, day out, and they just start and it's perfect, and I'm like, oh fuck, I could never do that. So I just sort of build it up gently, but I do put a lot of effort into trying not to get speckly black bits over the yellow, but equally you don't want like a spray line that's so much of like a jet that you get like what looks like a hard edge. It's very tricky, but I spray the edges by spraying away from the guitar, kind of thing. I mean, if you spray it like on like that, you're blasting black all over the top, sort of thing. So, you know, I might even do a bit like left-handed and do it like that. It's bloody tricky, really. Yeah, I mean, and quite often I fuck it up and have to start again. So that's fun, but sometimes it goes dead right. But on this, I want a fairly thin line of black. It's just the sunburst I prefer, sort of thing. I don't want any, like, you know, sometimes you see the black coming in really, you know, really a long way, but the maximum I kind of want it is probably not quite touching the jack cavity there, sort of thing. And then on the back there's always this bit here, which I've seen some that are sprayed round there and then round there, and you tend to get like a V coming into there. I don't really like that. I like to go like that, sort of thing, so you have a nice line to the black. But anyway, I'll get set up and I'll get done, and let's cross fingers. Honestly, this is, you know, doing sunbursts I think is really difficult, so let's see how it goes. Oh, well, in from the spray shed, and here's the black around the edge now. God, nearly bashed it on there. And yeah, I think I've succeeded in getting what I want. You can see I've just come shy there of the edge. Actually, I might go back and just build up that little bit. A bit there looks a bit thin, and yeah, looking at it in here now, I want to build up a bit more black in there and round there, bit there. And I think that will be good. So let's get back. It's only when you come out you can see it, so let's go back in and do it. Well, it's probably not exactly as I wanted, but you're never going to get it exact, I don't think. I mean, I'm not exactly happy with this elbow area, but then that is going to be worn a little bit. But you know, of course, it's looking like a two-tone sunburst now, but I think we're okay. I'm reasonably happy with it, but believe me, doing that black edge is quite a nerve-wracking thing. Now I'll go over it with red, and that will soften, because the red will spray over the black, that will soften the black again. So yeah, we'll do the red and then go from there. Rightio. Yeah, so I think it's looking pretty good. Yep, fine. Like you see, oh, I don't know if it shows it in the camera, but the yellow seems to be getting brighter now. with the black as a contrast there. So God, you get fed up of holding this thing. No wonder Fender went over to metal tubes that were round when you got those edges of that wood digging in your hand. But there we go. So let's get some red mixed up now. Well, here you go now with the red on it, and I think you can see that, you know, it's just looking really nice now. And it's not until you get the red on it that you really get a good impression of how it's going to look. And you know, it just seems to me that it's like it looks like a disaster waiting to happen until you get the red on, kind of thing. So you know, bits that I was worried about, that looking a bit fat, you know, with the black and all that, the red just seems to go on and soften it all up, you know. So you know, I'm really pleased with that. And you can see now how much brighter well, I hope you can see how much brighter the yellow looks on there. You know, it just looks right now without being sort of too bright like the target bursts. You may ask, I mean, you know, why, what, you know, how comes you spray it all in a day? Well, the answer really is I want to know what it looks like, you know. You know, you may have an argument, oh well, spray all the yellow on, then next day spray the black, then do. But I'm kind of too anxious to see what it looks like, because I mean, if you can't really tell if the black is seriously wrong until you've got the red on. I mean, it's kind of just one of those things, and you're only putting like thin layers on. Well, the yellow's actually quite a substantial. I did go over it twice with the spray gun, but the black, you know, is generally like a built up dusty thing that goes on, and you just sort of, you know, spray a bit closer to the middle and all that, have a look, and then add a little bit more. So there's not tons of paint going on with these. And you know, I like to get it done in a day so I can see what it actually looks like. I mean, I really like this round here, you know, like I was saying, I've seen some sprayed that you tend to get like a you know, a sort of butt crack in the middle there, sort of thing. I like to go like right across, and you can see that the black is like a narrowish band, narrower band than you normally get. I mean, quite often as well, Fender sprayed all this area black. I don't know why, but you know, very rarely, I've never seen any red in this area, because the pick guard just covers the lot till it's black, so they never used to bother spraying the red in here. Not generally, I don't know whether they did or not in some cases, but you know, you can see now, I mean, that's looking, you know, looking really nice. Now I'm really happy with that. Looking good, looking good. So that's got that all done in one nice day. So now 2 coats, and there's absolutely no problem with it needing another coat of sanding sealer on it. So, you know, happy with that. I also quite like that there where, you know, you see the red going into a point, and we've got it there. I mean, quite often, you know, that's just blocked out in black. So yeah, well pleased with that. You know, I mean, I have to say, after spraying the black, I'm like always so like, oh, is that right, is that not right, but once I get the red on, and the red is sprayed over the black as well, and it just softens it up fractionally, you know, just sort of nice. So there we go, that's that done. And you know, just a couple of coats of clear lacquer, and we can put that to bed, sort of thing, till it's set, get on with the neck. Well, here it is. I've just bought it straight in from the spray shop, crappy little shed. Just done the first coat of clear, and it's looking really good. I bought it in here. I'd normally leave it in there, but I've got a big heater in this shed, so yeah, it's looking good. Yeah, fine. So I think I got away with that. It's just warm enough today and it's very dry, so that's good. So now we can get down to this neck. I'm going to sand it again and see what happens, sort of thing. So yeah, there we go. I mean, I'm happy with the way it looks, but it just looks a little bit heavily relic, sort of thing. But I'm not minding it. So there we go. Well, hi there and welcome back to 3R Guitars. I was really pleased to get the spraying for that Stratocaster done yesterday, because yeah, it's a lot worse a day today. So and looking at the weather forecast, it's not going to get any better at all. So not for a while. It's going to be cold. So you know, we got this all sprayed yesterday, and I think it looks great. I'm really pleased with it. You know, and you can see, you know, when I first sprayed the yellow on, I keep saying it, but it looked a bit darker than it should. But for some reason, when you get the black and red on and final lacquer, it comes up brighter. And this is quite a different shade from, you know, the sunburst tops you get on Les Pauls. Les Pauls are a lot more orange. You need a lot more red dye in it with the yellow, and the black now around the edge. I don't think, you know, it looks quite so stark, because like I say, I mixed a bit of brown in it, and when you look at it, and then sprayed the red on last, and it just softens the black slightly. I mean, maybe, no, I mean, maybe like, you know, I could have actually put a bit of brown in it or something, or whatever, but yeah, that's what I normally do. So that's the body all sprayed. I mean, that can go indoors now and get warm somewhere. Moving back onto the neck, you know, I'm really pleased with that relic look on the neck. You know, you've got the grey sort of dirt in the grain there, and there's still a bit of a way to go on this, but this is the big thing I did yesterday, and I'm not going to bloody hide it, because you know, I put a Fender Transition logo on it. I mean, you can buy these anywhere online. Just type it in. There's tens of places that sell them. This one I've had a lying around for a little while, and it's not really a good idea to buy them and sit on them, because they don't seem to last very well. I mean, basically they're you know, a printed transfer on film, but you've got to have the printer that will do metallic ink, and then you know, to get it like real. But I mean, you can, you know, you can probably like do them yourself on like you can get the decal paper for your printer at home, and just, well, anyway, I mean, if you did this like grey and then sprayed over it with yellow, it would look gold. But anyway, the thing is, they come to you like when you first print them, and if you tried to put them on in water, then the ink would just run off. So they've been actually sprayed with a cellulose lacquer. Now what I do, you can see on there that is slight. I actually spray them over again with a slightly darker lacquer, so you get that kind of look that quite frequently goes on, like you know, with old Fenders. But this decal hasn't gone on particularly well, because, you know, I just found it in bits and pieces, sort of thing, that I had lying around. So I'm going to actually give the edges very light sanding, just to kind of take the edge off a little bit. But and on the hardtail Strat, you know, it seems to me, I've looked online at adverts for them, and when you see a hardtail, they have the synchronized trem and pat numbers cut off, so I did the same. But I'm not really interested whether it's, I mean, like I say, this is around a 67 look, I think that's the decal that came on a 67, but it's my favourite Strat decal, the transition one with the slightly fatter letterings. Also round here with this like relic in round here, it's looking a bit sharp edged, so I'm just going to go over it now and soften the edges on various things, and then spray a clear coat on it. So there we go. Okay, well, I've just put a coat of clear lacquer over this. I don't want to go mad with too many coats of it, especially on the back of the neck, because I want to flatten it all off, make it look a bit more bare wood. I don't mind putting more on the front of the headstock because you don't get so much wear there. But the thing with it is over the decal, your first few coats have got to be ever so light. You really just want to dust it on. Otherwise, if you put a really heavy coat on straight over the decal, you've got a chance of melting it, sort of thing, and it looks a bit fuzzy. But as well, worse than that, it actually makes the glue, on the back of the decal soft, and the decal can actually rise, which is disastrous. So just dust the first few coats on them, and you can go back and forth every half hour and just dust another coat on. But you can see that one looks stuck down now. I actually sanded over the edges of it before I sprayed, so it's looking a little bit better. But yeah, so that's that done.